In this video, I will be walking you through how to set up your first Google Ads shopping campaign. Before I start, who am I? I used to work at agencies, winning lots of awards for performance. Then I was the head of paid media at a big tech company in New York, and I decided to start my own agency, Bounce Marketing, so that I could offer high quality performance that I was offering my clients before, but for a much cheaper price. So I am Mark, the founder of Bounce Marketing, a Google Ads agency specialized in e-commerce businesses. So with that being said, let's hop into the tutorial. Let's get your first Google Ads shopping campaign live. Now, before I jump into things, I do want to say there are specific situations where I would actually go for Performance Max over standard shopping campaigns. In fact, I've seen that Performance Max feed only, so shopping ads only campaigns usually typically perform better than shopping. I would recommend, if you are now starting a brand new Google Ads account with no historical data, no historical conversions or anything like that, it's a brand new account, brand new business, I would recommend starting with this standard shopping campaign with this setup. And then once you have about 30 conversions in your account, then actually switching to Performance Max, feed only, shopping only ads, so without YouTube assets or display. I'll make a whole other video on setting up that Performance Max campaign. Just wanted to let you know that this is under the context that you are just starting a brand new Google Ads account for your e-commerce business and you want to get started with your first shopping campaign. Alrighty, let's hop right into it. Okay, cool. So first, let's click this blue plus button and then select New Campaign. Now, in terms of your campaign objective, I would either go between create a campaign without a goals guidance, or because this is an e-commerce business, typically you can test the campaign objective with sales as well. So if we don't have any prior data in the account or anything like that, I'd go on the safe side and let's go with create a campaign without a goals guidance. You're just getting started. But testing campaigns with sales as an objective is something that you could look to do in the future. The campaign type we'll be setting up is a standard shopping campaign. You want to make sure that your conversion tracking is set up for purchases and that you are tracking purchase conversion value. It's a whole separate beast, so I'll leave that to a separate video. But assuming you have conversion tracking set up and you're tracking your purchases, that's definitely the main thing that you want to have your campaigns optimized for. So you need to do that first. Make sure that you've set up your Merchant Center account, imported your product, set up your product feed, linked your Merchant Center to your Google Ads account, and now you're ready to get started. So go ahead and select your Merchant Center account. Now, as you can see here, Google loves Performance Max. Performance Max is Google's baby. Okay, so they are going to push it like crazy. Now, Performance Max is a great campaign type. Like I mentioned prior in the video, Performance Max, feed only, shopping ads only, I actually would recommend running as opposed to standard shopping as a general statement. But we're running under the assumption that we're just getting started, in which case I'd go standard shopping first before you have the conversion data to run Performance Max. There are other instances where I would run shopping, right, alongside Performance Max campaigns. If you have the budget, if you're a larger budget account, and you want to run a shopping campaign on low priority. So with that being said, let's go ahead and click Standard Shopping Campaign and click Continue. Okay, so you can go ahead and click a campaign name. I'll call it Bounce YouTube. Put an underscore there, Bounce underscore YouTube. So in terms of all of this, you can go ahead and leave that no filter, that's fine, turned off. This is all fine here. So what I would recommend actually in terms of your bidding, you can either go with, if you're just getting started, go with manual CPC or max clicks. This is a little bit of a debate on what is better. In my personal opinion, I would prefer manual CPC as it gives you more control. You can bid on the CPCs directly for your individual products. And it also just, in my experience, tends to drive more relevant traffic, where max clicks just tells you to get as many clicks as possible and not focused on quality clicks. So it's up to you. I would prefer manual CPC, so let's start with manual CPC. Now let's go ahead and select your budget. This is obviously dependent on what amount of money you're working with. In terms of budget, I would say, in general, there's really no point in running Google Ads if you don't have at least $1,000 to $1,500 per month to spend in Google Ads for at least 3 months. So let's operate under that assumption, spend about $50 a day. In terms of customer acquisition, let's not use that. That's a whole other beast I could talk about for another video. Don't set your campaigns for new customer acquisition only. So campaign priorities. So as I mentioned before, this basically tells your campaigns how much to prioritize it with regards to other campaigns. So like, for example, if you're having a relatively advanced setup where you're segmenting based on performance, or you're segmenting your campaigns based on location or AOV or whatever it be, and you want to push more budget into, say, a campaign type or a campaign that is performing much better than others, then maybe you'd set that one as high and set others low if it's like a low traffic campaign or a low performing products segmented campaign or something of the like. But if we're just getting started with our first shopping campaign, go ahead and leave that to low. The search network. So let's go ahead and check this off. The search partner network actually is something that can be cost effective. It can drive good performance, but in most cases, it usually doesn't. The search partner network is a network of search engines that Google will run its ads on. So for example, DuckDuckGo. If you know what DuckDuckGo is, maybe your ads will be on there if you check this box. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not using DuckDuckGo. Maybe my grandma is. So if your grandma is on DuckDuckGo and you want to target her, go ahead and click this on. But in general, I would have this select unselected because typically it just wastes ad spend. But in the future, if you do want to check it as a test later, you can. I have seen it do well for some accounts. But in general, just go ahead and select it off to be safe with your budget. Okay, so I'm operating under the assumption that we're in the United States, so I'm gonna go ahead and click United States. Click location options, so include presence or interest or just presence. So here I would always select presence. I don't know why Google says it's recommended. Google's lying, it's not recommended because if you select presence or interest, it could target people outside of your targeted location. But if you select presence, it only targets people in your selected location. So always select presence. There's really no situation where I'd ever say otherwise. You can go ahead and name your ad group. So we'll name it subscribe to my channel, please. And we can set the bid to whatever's relevant for our business. So we would have to do keyword research at this point to understand what CPCs make sense for our business if the CPCs of our business are relatively high. So we do want to do some keyword research. For that, I have a whole video on keyword research. Go to my channel and you can see how to do keyword research. But assuming we've done some keyword research and we have some understanding of the CPCs and we've watched my prior video on keyword research, you could put the CPCs a little bit lower than you would expect the average, just to be as cost efficient as possible. So as an industry standard, I'd set it around maybe like 2 to be safe, 2.5 maybe, something around that. Just throwing out a random number that's relative, somewhat in the region of e-commerce businesses. So we'll go ahead and create a campaign. So now we're gonna set up something called SPAGs. Single product ad groups. Now, why do we want to do this? We want to do this so that we can understand all of the data from our individual products, okay? So that maybe if one product is doing better than the other, you might want to raise the CPCs of that product and basically understand how they're performing, and so you can push more budget into what products are performing better. So how do you do that? Go ahead and click this add subdivision here, okay? And so now we're gonna go by item ID, okay? So select your product, okay? Continue to edit bids, and go ahead and hit save. Okay, so now you are in your product groups and now you've segmented this specific item ID, this SKU, separately from other products. Now, you do need to actually exclude this, everything else in all products, you do need to exclude that to make sure that it actually is only targeting or bidding on that specific product. So go ahead and exclude that, okay? Now you have a single product ad group there, right? So now you can go back into your ad groups or your product groups, and do the same thing. So, okay, cool. So now you have an ad group with one specific product. So you want to go ahead and create an ad group for every single product that you have. So you have your single product ad groups. So you can go ahead and come back here and create an ad group. Okay, so you can call this ad group product 2, set your bid to whatever it is, hit save. One other thing to mention is because we're on manual bidding, something we can do just off the bat is exclude tablets. So usually mobile and desktop for e-commerce businesses always gets all of the conversions and the purchases, and almost never tablets is a good idea. So you want to go ahead and exclude tablets or add a negative 100% bid adjustment, which will basically stop your campaigns from showing on tablets. So I'll go ahead and show you how to do that in a second. But first, let's get back into the product segmentation within the ad groups. Awesome. So now we have 2 ad groups. We've got subscribe to my channel, please, with 1 SKU, product 2 in the other ad group. So now what you want to do, let's click this ad subdivision. Okay, go to item ID, select product 2, whatever that would be, continue to edit bids, hit save. Okay, and now you want to do the same thing here where you exclude everything else, and so you just have that separate SKU in that product group. Okay, so now each ad group, right? Okay, and each individual ad group has one specific product. So subscribe to my channel, please, has 1 SKU, product 2 has another SKU, etc. So you want to go ahead and do what I just did for each individual product that you have and make sure that each individual ad group has a separate product. Now, once you're done and the data starts coming in, you can understand which of your products are performing better and make informed decisions based on that. And maybe you want to raise your bids of specific products. So for instance here, maybe this product is performing really well. We might want to raise our CPCs or something of the like. Now, as I mentioned before, once you get enough conversion data, it's thrown around, say 30 conversions, but I've seen you be able to switch to max conversions or target ROAS with much smaller conversion data. So I would test it really around 15, 20 conversions. Once you have maybe say 20 conversions, try switching to max conversions and a target ROAS, so your return on ad spend of, say 200%, which means every dollar you spend, you get $2. But basically use machine learning bidding. So switch to max conversions or target ROAS and once you have the conversion data, okay, with your PMax campaign. So subscribe to my channel if you want to see that PMax campaign video. Okay, so the last piece here is you can go into insight and reports and then when and where ads showed. Okay, so once you're there, it'll take you right to devices, and here you can actually add a bid adjustment, right? So as I mentioned before, tablets almost always just waste money. It is something you could potentially test in the future. Once you have performance improve and you're profitable and you want to run this as a test, you can add tablets. I will say, once you also have the conversion data and you switch to max conversions, bid adjustments don't matter anymore. The machine learning and the AI will do all of the bidding for you, but because we're on manual CPC and we're just getting started, I would recommend doing this. So decrease 100%, boom, okay? So now we've made a 100% decrease. Now we're not running on tablets anymore. The other thing to potentially test, as I mentioned, is the Search Partners Network, but on launch, I'd go ahead and recommend just leaving that off. Okay, and that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you are a Google Ads specialist and you do want my free Google Ads and landing page audit checklists, I'll leave that link in the description below. I'll also leave a link in the description below a free Whop community where you can ask me any questions about Google Ads in the chat or make a post about it, and I'll be sure to answer any of your Google Ads related questions there. Also, I built an AI Google Ads audit tool. So it uses AI to audit your Google Ads account and tell you where your wasted ad spend is, optimizations you need to make, and complete analysis and audit of your account using AI. So if you want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the description for that as well. Thank you so much. Please like this video if it was helpful, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.